changes to fix. It's like, God, bro, like what? Buy or refund? As if he would. As if he would. Right? I mean. Okay. What does he think? Okay.
What's up, YouTube? MrLlamaSC here, and today I'm going to give my Diablo 4 changes, how to improve the game, everything that I think would be great to improve it. Again, these are my opinions. You may have your own opinions. You're entitled to your own opinions. You may disagree with some of this. That's fine. I'd love to hear your thoughts down below in the comments. But let's be respectful. You know, let's keep it nice and friendly. Anyways, I'm going to dive in to a lot of this stuff. This is all of the pieces after, I don't know, probably like 100 hours in the game or something that I think could be changed and improved and made better. So let's start with the campaign. I kind of want to do what we did again like last time, where we black it all out and then we like... Well,
I think it's not much like the quest stuff, I guess.
Oh, that's just bad. All right, never mind. Campaign number 1. Increase density in the campaign. Also increase difficulty. I think higher monster damage, but lower monster HP could be nice. A lot of it feels like sponges, but it doesn't feel like you're actually getting hurt, you know? You're just kind of like, you know, just kind of along with that. And then the density as well, there was a lot of just running through zones. You don't have your horse yet. It was just like running. I'm just going from area to area. It did not feel great. Number 2, remove so many escort quests. These are not fun. Maybe you love escort quests. I don't love escort quests.
I don't think
and
that
I feel
many.
like
I
there
think in
were
general,
a lot of them in the
feels
campaign.
a little tedious, but
it was just a lot of escorting somebody to the next spot, and I think getting rid of some of these, allowing these to be skipped ahead, whatever, would be a big improvement. Number 3, allow for skipping through unskippable cutscenes.
Yes.
Non-cutscenes, excuse me. If I press escape, let the dialogue move forward, or the person move to the spot, whatever it is, right? There was plenty of times where I'm sitting there and the dog is walking over, turns, sits down, says a line, I click the thing, he gets up, he walks to the next spot. It's like, let me just spam through it. That'll be great. The person who wants to sit there and watch it, perfect. But give me the option of just being like, forced. No. And when they're talking,
the main
it's like in every game that's existed of all time, you just push enter or press the spam the A key, and it goes through the dialogue faster if you don't care to read it. I think this would help a lot in the campaign, not feeling such a slog for me. Again, that's just my opinion on it, but I think that would be a great improvement, and maybe actually make me want to speedrun this game. As opposed to,
he's not going to speedrun shit if he has to sit through quest dialogues. Oh my god.
Unskippable pieces that add up. Dungeons and events. Moving on. Number 1, remove the slay all dungeons. I don't think people want to do the Den of Evil 100 times. I've done this dungeon so many times and I am tired of doing it. You could even adjust it to like slay 70% of the monsters or something. So I can go through, kill.
Okay, so they did make this a little bit better to their credit. Okay, I just want to point out, Blizzard did make this a lot better in, like, I don't know, since the server slam, I don't know exactly when. So just so you guys know the way that it works, okay? So if you kill, it's not 70, but if you kill like 90% of the mobs, and there's like a few stragglers behind, there's like a horde, which is like, it's not just the mobs you missed, it's like the mobs you missed plus 3 packs of elites. It just spawns right on top of you. So you can actually not clear quite 100% of it, but you do have to clear like 90% of it. And when you have to clear 90% of it and the mobs are like those rezzing assholes, because if you miss one of those rezzing assholes, you don't hit the threshold for the dump on top of your face, and you really want to hit the, you know what I mean, right? Yeah, the fallen shamans, those things are fucking dickheads. Yeah.
Kill a majority of the pack of mobs and go to the next. But having to stop and kill each individual monster.
He probably just hasn't done that
great.
many dungeons.
Number 2. Still, many dungeons could just be improved overall. Some of them definitely got better, but I still feel like there's a decent amount of backtracking. And overall, most of the dungeons are still, or many of them are still like, get 2 mechanical boxes, get 3 wheels, pull the 2 levers. It's still kind of the same idea. I wish there was better variety, and they didn't feel so linear, and then if I miss one thing, I'm backtracking all the way. Number 3, remove the escorting events. This is just in the events overall. Again, I'm not sure who really likes these escort quests, but I can see why that kid's grandfather left him there. Because, oh my god,
I was talking
who
about
wants to walk the kid to... No, that's not the right spot. Let me walk you to the next one. Just like, my goodness. And number 4, Nightmare Sigils, teleport or create a TP to the dungeon. I think this could just be a nice little quality of life improvement, as opposed to every time I open a Nightmare dungeon, I then have to port over to whatever waypoint, and then take that waypoint and all of that stuff. That also brings up another point I'll throw in right here, which I should just save it. I'm gonna note it down.
What?
Okay. Moving on. Builds. Number 1, move the camera back. The camera is just too close. Look at the horse range is great. Look at the horse camera. And then I'm
as a sword enjoyer. Okay.
But when I'm on the horse, this is better. I actually can like see some distance. This is just an improvement. It's too close. I think it causes other issues, like only melee builds. This is why it's under builds. Really existing since you can't see very far. And to expand on number 1 there, why is every single build a short range build? I picked a sorcerer because I like being that far back wizard and all of this stuff. But every sorcerer build that I've done devolves into me just diving into the middle, freezing everything, and then blowing everything up. I think this wrecks a lot of the build diversity, because it's like any build that could or would use range, fire bolts and whatever stuff, that variety doesn't really feel like it exists there. I think part of that is the camera. It's so zoomed in that there isn't really any of that. And additionally, part of it's also like maybe some of the monsters, how fast they run.
Yeah.
I don't...
Honestly, monsters are really slow. If you look at like Whirlwind Barb that has move speed, the monsters are actually ridiculously slow. He's not wrong about anything else, but that's definitely not a solution. Making monsters slower will just trivialize the whole game. Alright, let's listen a little bit more to Mr. Llama.
I don't know, but I don't feel like I get to play a character that is like, oh, I stay back and I shoot my arrows, or I shoot my fireballs from afar. I cast my blizzard from afar. At the same time, like D2, you have Nova Source, where you can dive in the middle and kill things from, right inside. But every single build I've done on the Sorcerer, I'm always in the middle. And I'm like, this doesn't fit with any lore of what a Sorcerer really feels like to me, of this like glass cannon far away. I'm just like a tank who blows things up right inside. Anyways, trading. Number 1, Open up trading.
change
It feels awful how many items are account bound in the game and I can't trade.
Rares are
If
not
I
account
put a legendary aspect on it, if I do the imprinting, now it's stuck on me.
That's
I
fair.
don't understand why that has to be stuck on me. Why can't I trade
he's
this
a
item
D2
away
player.
to somebody
D2
else
is
who
like
would love
full
it?
open
It's
trade.
a really, really weird restriction that's been
I
put
get where he's
there
coming from,
that I can
but-
have it as a GG rare item to trade, but once I imprint it and I want to use it, then I can't. To
Right.
me, that encourages botting even further because bots aren't going to use the items that they pick up. But me as a player, I'm going to use it. And then if I want to like make another character and I want to trade this awesome gear off to go build up that character, well, I've imprinted something on it, so now I can't. Like it's like the reverse. I feel like it still encourages bots, but doesn't actually. It just
These
hurts
events have
people
been
who
very
use
strong.
the items.
I'm gonna try to do it, even though there's
Number
no
two,
chance I'll succeed.
not being able to give a cool item I find to my party members feels terrible. Hey, I got this awesome unique that you need, and I'm not going to use it. Well, that sucks. This happened way too often. Like, are you kidding me? This was a horrible feeling being in a party.
So, if you group with people that you need like different uniques but for the same class, it's effectively a massive magic find multiplier. And I don't necessarily disagree with the feature, but again, it's just very Diablo 2-ish. It's just like the social part of games has evolved and has become much more hardcore. Grouping has such massive advantages that adding that one on top of it would be kind of crazy. Like I think if they do that, and I'm not saying they should, but if they do decide to do that, they have to kind of scale back grouping in a different way, because I think it gets a little crazy. Like, you know, you make a full group and you do like a bouncy fireball sork, whatever the hell I'm playing, and a freeze sork with like frostburn. It's individualized loot, but then you have a massive advantage for... Where's my chest?
You deserve this.
Oh, each one gives you gear if you kept them alive. Wish that would happen faster, but okay. So yeah, see, in Diablo 2 you don't have this problem because the loot just drops on the ground. But if you're like a slow player in Diablo 2, you don't get a lot of loot. And that does kind of gatekeep some people from even playing the game seriously. Like it's not a vocal part of the game, because it's like, hey guys, I like D2, except I'm so fucking slow I can't actually pick up any loot in my games. Like, no one's gonna admit to that, basically. But trust me, that is happening. Okay. Yeah. So I think you're not going back from individualized loot in Diablo games, and because of that, what he's saying does have pretty major problems. Not that they can't be fixed, but I don't think it's as easy as just let them trade, because then solo players are basically left in the dust.
With my friends and finding the item they need, and then I just can't give that item to them.
You can
I don't
vendor
know
it
why
and
that
send them a
exists.
screenshot.
It needs to be removed.
Just
Again,
good.
I think opening up trading overall will improve it, but my gosh, at least within the party, it's just like, it doesn't feel great at all. Number 3, create a trading market. Right now, where do you trade? Trying to find a place to trade is like impossible. There's a single trade chat that you can open. That's a terrible experience. Having an MMO/ARPG with no market is very lacking, and it forces players to third-party solutions.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know. This feels like an obvious one. This is, again, part of the social aspects really lacking in the game. I think that this needs to be super handled quickly, because otherwise trading and all of that it's just garbage. It doesn't feel good at all. And that's a big part of like why it's awesome to go find cool loot, is to be able to trade it off and put it on the market and see what sort.
For some people.
Right now I'm like, I don't care about any loot for anything. If it doesn't work for me, I don't care. Moving on.
Right.
Itemization. Give gems a use. The only use
Gems
they have is I socket it in the gear. Once I have all my royals in my gear, it's done.
Yeah, I don't
That's
even
it.
pick anything up.
Like, there's literally nothing else to do with gems. I hate when I accidentally pick up a gem right now because it just takes a spot up. I'm like, ah, crap, throw that out.
Just gonna make
there's
higher
no
gem
incentive to
levels.
pick them up whatsoever. They aren't worth any gold to even sell.
They should
They're
change
just
that.
like
That's
worthless
nice.
right
Diablo
now.
2
So
gems are quite
very
valuable. So.
confused what their purpose is beyond just one saga. Once you get a few of them, you're done. Number 2, add in more legendary aspects and uniques, but also don't make them so required. Right now there's what, 120 or 150 aspects, but then you break it down to, of the 5 classes, there's only so many that you actually use on your class, and then you break that down further because they're build specific, and there's really not that many aspects for you to use, and they also feel really required. It doesn't feel like an optional thing for many of them, right? It's like, oh, this is critical strike when I have a barrier. My skill runs, I run a barrier, that's it. Oh, this is additional fireballs. I need to run whatever it is, it's just, I have to, use it.
Out of range.
Like, my build feels already pre-built, and I'm just working up into the pre-built build, and the legendary aspects are so forced that, I don't really feel like I'm like, ooh, what if I tried this? Oh, that feels a little different, but I like it. It's like...
So he's right about this on some things. Like Druid and Barb to a lesser degree, they have these legendary powers where you turn a skill that is total shit and then you make it usable. But Cirque doesn't really have that. The skills are either good or they're not, and the aspects don't do anything. No one's using the fucking Incinerate aspect because Incinerate is horrendous. Right? For Sark, I actually think the legendary powers are fairly interesting. You can lean your character more towards damage, more towards CC, more towards defenses. The amulets are a really interesting slot. If you put where is it here? Hell, you can put the armor one. The amulet has plus 50%, but if you put a defensive one on it, it goes up a lot. But some of the defensive ones are really strong. If you're lightning and you use the nearby enemies thingies, that thing gets crazy if you put it on a two-hander or an amulet. I think for Sork, the aspects are actually pretty good. I think for other classes, they have some challenges. Like Druid is one of them. Druid skills are hey, this skill is garbage. And then you get the legendary aspect. It's wow, this skill is fucking insane. And I get the appeal, but it does feel really forced in that case. It does.
It's no, they don't really give that different change that I was really hoping.
Good luck botting in
they
D4.
Would give. It felt like the system idea was really cool, but in practice...
So, again, I still know him. I actually talked to him the other day. Actually, there's a very good chance he has, but I don't know of it, but I've known people who do professional botting. One of my real life friends, he did this for Diablo 3, and he made a crazy amount of money. In the first 3 months, he could buy a house. He just made some computers and ran it in his apartment. Yeah. Yeah. And do you know what he did? he had barbarians with maximum move speed go in King Leoric's area, and they just broke all the urns, and the gold would pick up, and then they would leave. The idea is like, if you're ever thinking it's like good luck botting this game, bro, they're gonna bot the shit out of your game. Okay. The more complex a game is, there's always stuff like this. There's always stuff that you can do. Because when you play a game as like a person, your mindset always leans towards what you would enjoy, what's fun. Obviously, no player is going to play 20-second games breaking urns in King Leoric's tomb. No player would even think to do that. Right? But you're not counting players. With that said, because rares are tradable and because rares can become the best item possible, I guarantee you that this game will be botted like crazy. It just will take a while. Like, I think you're going to have third-party sites that are just basically going to sell items with perfect rolls. And gold is not worthless either, I would argue. Like 2 more points. So yeah, I think botting is going to be pretty big. And I think if the seasons don't catch on super well, like, you might be thinking it's like PoE, everyone plays seasons. And first of all, in PoE, not everyone plays seasons. But the first season, if they stick to their plan, is coming out in a month from now. Do you really think that someone who plays this game on, like, weekends is going to want to re-roll their level 80 character for Season 1 because they add some, like, zombie world shit? I'm using the example they gave. I don't know what they're doing for Season 1. You really think they're going to do that? I think if they are going through with the plan to launch Season 1 crazy early, it'll actually push more people to play Evergreen D4. And the more people play Evergreen D4, the bigger there will be a problem with botting. I also think that with level scaling, you can probably level a character with a bot pretty easily, and given how grindy it is, I don't know. It's pretty locked into an account. Maybe not. That one I might be wrong about. I might be wrong about that one. We'll see. Alright, let's listen.
With the current aspects, it's not allowing enough freedom of choice. Where it's like, oh, it could be fun to, you know, whenever I use Arc Lash, a little Frost Nova comes out. The Frost Nova doesn't actually do damage, but it has low CC. That's really cool. But maybe I could instead use one that does like Firewall, Burns. You know, it's like, I don't know. There's so much that could have been there, but it doesn't feel like right now it has much choice. Number 3, too many items have too many class-specific affixes. Every item I find is like +2 to Firewall, +1 to Hydra, +3 to Ice Shards, +2 to Teleport, +1 to... And it's just like only on every specific item. So it's like boots will get Teleport, Frost Nova, Flame Shield, I guess the defensive ones. And, you know, gloves will get the core skills, and this will get these, and it's like...
That's how it works.
Every item just has this like specific affix of all that. Just doesn't feel great.
What?
Number 4. Overall, I think itemization.
Okay, he kind of had me up until that one. What the fuck is he talking about? What's the problem? Yeah, different items have different stats. Right. They do. I don't think it's crazy. Like, you know how boots have movement speed? Yeah, well, boots on Sork They have defensive cooldowns. Every single defensive cooldown increases your movement speed or your mobility or decreases the opponent's mobility. They're mobility modifiers. I don't know. The conjurations are on the helmet. It's like mind control stuff. Like I don't know. I think it's pretty cool. Like, what kind of... Does he want to play a game where you can roll movement speed on every piece of gear? Like, I don't understand. I just don't get the point.
Needs a big overhaul. I think there would be a lot to implement to get this in-game, but I honestly think you guys should consider it. This is my biggest complaint, I would say, currently with Diablo 4, and judging by the comments I've heard from a lot of people as well, even people that love Diablo 4, love Diablo 3, I think a lot of people are still in agreement that itemization just isn't feeling great right now. Legendary aspects being forced, affixes being kind of bland and simple, but then complicated with like the near non-in.
Here's what I don't like about itemization. So this like samurai helmet has the exact same armor value as like a Merlin hat. Literal purple robe has the exact same armor and defense as a full plate. Exactly the same. Has no stat requirements. You can just mismatch it. Yeah, I'll just use a heavy plate helm because it's the same defense as the wizard helm, and I'll put it on with my fucking pajamas, which has the same defense as the full plate armor. And it has the same stat requirements, which is no stat requirements. I think that part is like weird. That part is weird to me. So, yeah, but he doesn't really say that. I think the actual stats on the items themselves, I don't have much of a problem with it, except for resistances. But I don't know what happened with the resistances, because it's not like resistances on gear is really bad. It's just resistance is really bad. Like I think someone fucked up the formula. I think someone literally missed a 0. Like, resistances should be about 10 times stronger than they are. And if you think I'm full of shit, I'll give you an example here. Like, so like if you look at the glyphs, most glyph bonuses are like 10% damage or 10% survivability. Am I getting a hit right now? Why is it red? If you look at... Where is it here? There's only one glyph that gives you resistances. Look at this. For each skill equipped in your enchantment slots, gain 13% resistance to that skill's element. Skills only have one element, and you have 2 enchantment slots. So this gives you a total of 26% resistance. 26% resistance, if applied to the same element, is roughly, and very close, like almost exactly, 2% mitigation to a single element of the 6 damage types. So if you divide that by 6, okay, you have about 0.3% mitigation. The additional bonus, if you get 40 intelligence on this glyph, is 0.3 survivability boost to your character. Like, I'm not kidding. I think someone in the math for resistances missed a 0. It's such a joke. Yeah. It is an unbelievable mess. If you look at the stats on gear, every stat is actually pretty decently balanced, except resistances. And I made a comparison the other day. If you compare a resistance to reduce damage from close enemies, reduce damage from close enemies gives you about 1,200 resistance. 30 times stronger. Now, it has it has a condition that it has to be close, and you can argue that you might want to stack one specific resistance to be strong against, like, you know, a specific weakness to your character or a certain mechanic. I get that. So, you know, it shouldn't be 1-to-1. But did they miss a 0? Yeah, they may have missed a 0. Because if it was 1/3 as strong, I can see it, right? It's not conditional. It's not like close. You can cover your weakness. So yeah, I actually think that in the coding of resistances, in terms of what they were planning to do, they missed a 0. Resistance, in my opinion, is 10 times weaker than it should be. 10 times. Possibly more. It's actually closer to 20, but let's say at least 10 times. Everything else with items is actually pretty balanced, I would say. Yeah. 10 times is, like, insane. It's insane. Like, people are gonna figure this out. I should make a video about it. Yeah.
Injured, close, far, all of this stuff. It doesn't feel great, and then ultimately you're just going for the same cooldown reduction, critical strike damage and chance, you know, mana resource generation or just resource generation, attack speed. You're just kind of going the same thing. And then you also have core skill damage, vulnerable skill damage, or vulnerable damage.
Kripp, when you're telling us the level 1 glyphs are misleading and terrible. So the secondary bonus does not scale with levels. Only the scaler scales with levels. So that resistance bonus on that glyph is always that bad. It never gets better. Just so you guys are missing the point. That part of the glyph never gets better. It's always that bad.
Damage to close enemies. You know, you just kind of hit the same pieces. It's just not feeling really great. The affixes feel like they just need to be wiped and re-put in there and readjusted. Yeah, it's just damage to every kind of CC and then all the CC. It's tough. It's tough because I know this would be a really big overhaul. But I think if there's one big system that you would,
Itemization.
that I think a lot of people would really want you to adjust, it's this one. And again, I think there's a whole giant dive-in we could do on it, but I don't want to take the whole video just for that. Number 5, unique items. There's so few of them.
Yeah.
And they just kind of feel like legendaries for the most part. They're pretty underwhelming. I feel like every single time I drop a unique glove, boot, staff, whatever it is, I know exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Because it's not like I drop unique boots and there's like 20 different unique boots that could drop. Every time a unique boot drops, I know which unique boot it is. Just every time a unique glove drops, every time a unique, you know, whatever, I know what it is. That's just it. I just always know what it is. Oh wait, maybe I can turn Dark Reader on. There we go. And it's never like a lot of them just feel underwhelming. So it's not even like, oh.
The game doesn't even have a Stone of Jordan. Like I get Shaco was like a big one in D2, but you know. It's Stone of Jordan, boys. Like, what?
Oh, maybe it's Blood Fist. Maybe it's, you know, Lava Gouts. Maybe it's this or that. Which, again, I know what all those are as well because I know the base types and stuff. But it just, yeah, there's not a bunch of those. Moving on. Paragon boards. Number 1. Paragon nodes feel the exact same as legendary aspects right now. I don't feel like I have much choice, but rather I'm just going to required spots.
I don't know if he recorded this video after the nerfs and stuff. I think after the nerfs they did, the decisions are actually a little bit more meaningful, but also I'm pretty sure some glyphs are not working as they should be. I saw another person post about how... I wonder if I looted that. How the lightning glyph works on literally nothing. It works on a single resist node. The lightning glyph. Doesn't scale anything. It scales one resistance node on the entire tree. Because lightning doesn't have lightning damage. Lightning gets the stun mechanics. So it doesn't work on those. And there is a glyph to scale lightning. So it's like, what the hell is that, right? So it's definitely missing some pieces.
Paragon boards could also use more fun along the way. It's literally just +5 stats every single time, which just doesn't feel that great. Increasing the number of rare magic nodes around the boards and making them not so similar and strong would actually make me think about what I want to go after. Obviously, there will always be an optimal, efficient route that somebody will figure out of how to go. But right now, it doesn't take very much thought to know, oh, okay, there's 4 rare nodes there, and these 2 don't even apply to my build, and these 2 do. So I just go to these 2, and then I get the dexterity for my glyph, and then that's it. Right? It's like, they just don't feel great there. Additionally, I think glyphs are very basic and simple. I don't really have that in here, but it's just like, the glyph is, I can't reach it until it gets to level 15, and then it expands its radius 1 time, and now I can get what I need with all the dexterity to make it work, and then it's kind of done. I just like level it to 21 or whatever.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, they're fine, but
Right.
they feel fine. That's about it.
Yeah.
Moving on, PvP. Please make other players stand out more. I can't tell a person from a monster half the time, and I've
Yes.
killed people without even knowing it, and then just I see in chat, it's like, oh, you killed somebody, because I was killing monsters. Making their name bigger above them, something
stealth
would be
aspect.
great. It's really, really hard to
disagree
tell.
on this one.
Quality of life. There's a lot here that I think could be
Quality of
really
life is very
improved
weak.
and easy wins. These are all easy wins for the most part.
Okay.
Number 1, camera adjustment again. Please allow it to just be a little further out. Again, that horse
think
range
that
is like
changes a lot.
great
I don't know.
range. Number 2, a gems bag and tab. Though again, gems also need a purpose to be picked up at this point. That would be really nice. Number 3, overlay minimap. This is an easy win for a lot of people like myself who want to
apparently
use
it's
it.
not gonna happen.
I hate having to bring a map up and it blast over the whole screen and I can't see anything. Have a toggle, right? You can have it up in the top right for the people that like that, or you can have it on top. Number 4, a loot filter, especially in this game with item power, affix rolls, and this constant flurry of rares and legendary items. I think this would be a really big improvement. Because I don't care to see anything that's like under item power
Bit early
750 or
for
for
that.
a wand.
I think they would see
at
that
this
as
point
a
under
pretty shameful
785.
feature so early.
And so I don't
maybe.
want to ever see a
I mean,
wand that's
I don't
under
disagree. I just don't
785
think
because then I
it's happening.
pick it
That's
up.
not
Oh, it's 740. Okay, I got to toss it. Like that just there's so much stuff that I just want filtered out. It would be great. Number 5, drop from inventory hotkey key. Just a hotkey. Just I'm dragging every single item off, and then it kind of lags sometimes, and it's hard to drag off, and everything is very tedious. I just want to be able to mass click, 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 control click, and drop all the stuff on the ground from my inventory if I don't want it, because I don't want to take it back and then have to go like salvage all of it. Sometimes I just want to get rid of stuff.
Doesn't this guy play Diablo 2?
Number 6, a search bar. I think this would be massive, and search bar in like a lot of areas. Having it for my stash tab,
Really
so I
need
could
a
search
search bar
on
here.
aspects, so I could search on legendary items. Oh my
stash
god, that would improve so
QOL.
much. Having it so I can search, across the map for a dungeon. I can search the Paragon boards. I can search whatever. These sorts of things would save a lot of time. It would be right. Number 7, ability to turn off all text in combat. I don't care to see every single thing is vulnerable. I know it's
I get it.
vulnerable. I don't need
okay
it
with
to
that,
tell
but
me.
yeah, I
I don't even know who is absorbing what when it's absorbed, and I don't care most of the time. I just want to be able to turn off all of that combat text. Numbers off is great. Let me get rid of the text now too. Number 8, chat not opening when I click on the bottom left. This kills me. I can't tell you how many times I've died because I was... Well, now the chat's not here. I'm going and I click in the bottom left of it, and then I die because that was, you know, oh crap, oh no, oh.
I just wanted to disable chat completely. I never want to see it.
Whenever something happens with the chat, you know.
I don't know how it happens.
That one has just been brutal. Please
I don't even know how to
remove that.
replicate
I've died multiple times from clicking there, and then I'm pressing all my hotkeys, but of course they don't work because it's typing.
I don't know. I don't know how to bring it up.
Additionally, with chat, I don't need to see every single time a party member engages with a random elite monster or something. If I could remove that, that would be great. I just feel like I get spammed down there. Number 9, scrolling in the glyphs skill tree Paragon board is annoying. I mean, glyphs especially is really like confusing. I have to scroll and look down in this little like area here. Let me move myself. This is how I'm like trying
glyph system
to
is pretty
see
bad.
all my glyphs, and I don't have any
UI
way to,
was pretty bad, but it's been getting better, so I'm hoping that changes over time.
And then having to try and scroll around here and in the skill tree. This is as far out as I can go in the skill tree. So if I want to adjust down the skill down here, it just doesn't feel that great. I hope that could be adjusted somewhat. Number 10, show the time on buff/debuff durations. Yeah, whole screen doesn't actually fix it though, right? Like, oh, okay, we go here and we go to full screen. I still have to scroll up and down. Not being able to see in time how much time is left on an elixir or how much time I'm frozen or anything.
Oh shit.
Is, you know, painful.
Thanks,
and number 11, allow me to hide hotkeys. I know what these numbers are for each of the skills and all of these pieces. I don't need to see all that. Moving on, social. Besides trade, creating better social aspects would be great. I feel like I'm in a very lonely and empty MMO right now.
I want to play by myself.
2, having better social hubs, lobbies, towns with way more people, places I can actually go and interact with and find other parties would be
people only on Twitch.
Way improved.
No one
And number
else.
3, some sort of matchmaking system potentially. Just some way to really like join up with others, find parties with others, do things with others. Hey, I want to go and do this quest. Does anybody want to go join?
Oh, talking about like...
it just feels like there's millions of people playing this game, and I feel like there's 100.
Right, because there is.
Experience. Backload experience more into the higher levels. Level 50 to 51 feels way too similar to 99 to 100 right now. And even like 35...
Bro, what are you talking about? How does 51... I don't know what kind of build he's cooking, but my first few Paragon nodes are literally 5 ints, and the last few levels are like activating massive bonuses and entire glyphs that now add massive amount of stats because I've leveled them. It doesn't feel at all the same with what I got cooking. I don't know. I don't know about that.
5 to 36 feels way too similar to like 80 to 81 and all of this stuff. I know it like slightly increases, but for the most part, every level from like level 25 on feels like it's the exact same amount of experience to get there, which to me doesn't feel great. You might think it feels great. To me, I'm not as big of a fan of that.
So I think what he might be talking about, and it's something I actually agree with, I think the level curve is too linear, and you might be thinking, hey, Kripp, that's fine. But actually it's not, in my opinion, because the more interesting build choices are, like, you need to be fairly high level. Like, until you're like level, like, even 80, the Paragon board is pretty lame. It's like nothing's really happening. You get like maybe 1 or 2 legendary nodes. Some builds don't get any legendary nodes. Like if you get one and that was the highlight. Some builds, none of the legendary nodes are good enough to use. if you think about it in like Diablo or PoE, the reason this works pretty well is... That it? No gear. The reason it works pretty well is because you have a functioning character pretty early in your play cycle. So if you have a linear thing, but you, like my character is now pretty functional, level 90. I don't know how many hours I played. I played a lot. Now it's pretty functional. Okay? But in terms of like level time, I got like 20% to go, right? But if I could get to level 90 in the first 20%, and then the last few levels were a lot slower, for most of my time actually playing the character, I would be like enjoying it and playing the version that I want. So that's why most ARPGs have like a bit of an exponential leveling curve. And Diablo 4, it is still a little exponential, but like it's much more linear. So I think that's what he's talking about. If that is what he's talking, I definitely agree. I think they should make it more exponential.
Number 2, those rooms in the dungeons that have monsters but don't give experience should be adjusted to give experience and loot and corpses.
Right.
I don't know why those rooms exist, and you just have to like spend time killing stuff, but you don't get any value
the intermediate rooms?
Doesn't feel great there. Moving forward. Monsters. There is simply too much monster CC. Getting frozen, stunned, rooted, knocked down. Then there's the blinding, silencing, whatever. And then having my unstoppable skill cooldown up so I can get out of it isn't that enjoyable. Watching myself die because I'm sitting...
I guarantee you they're gonna nerf like perma unstoppable. Like you perma unstoppable barbs, your days are limited. Okay. He's right. Those mechanics are really punishing. The fact that some classes can like completely disregard them all the time, those are the ones that are getting nerfed. Because yes, the difficulty difference in trivializing it is huge. And you might think, Kripp, you're Sork or whatever. A Sork has a few pretty short cooldowns on it. Nowhere near. I played barbs in PvP that were unstoppable like 90% of the time. Right? So the power difference there is really, really big. And I think more likely we're just gonna see that nerfed.
Sitting there for 5 seconds frozen or on the ground, waiting for my cooldown, just feels bad. I don't mind investing in defense. I don't mind investing in something like that, but it currently feels poor. Maybe even reworking something to have something like cold resist decreases the amount of time that you're frozen. Or like in Diablo 2, cannot be frozen is a mod, and so you would get that so you don't get stuck in that, right? Right now, I think the only thing is you have like your topaz.
So the big differences here come back to itemization, and he did suggest that they should fix that. In Diablo 4, you actually only have 4 attributes. There's no gear that has 5 attributes. Legendaries and uniques have 4 attributes and a power, and you could argue the power is sometimes a stat. But what I'm trying to say is, in every, well, not every, I think Diablo 1 used blues. But in Diablo 2 and Diablo 3, items had 6 stats or more. Because some of them had like an extra stat, or some of them had an extra stat and like an ability. Or in the case of Rune Wards in Diablo 2, sometimes you had like a fucking phone book attached to the item. So, yes. But in Diablo 4, you have 4 stats on items, and that actually puts incredible pressure on builds. Like, I keep saying how the lightning builds aren't tanky. Obviously, you can make a lightning build just as tanky as you can what I'm playing right now, right? It's not like I have some fire exclusive things that the lightning build can't access. But the reason the lightning build does the most damage is because there is a stat called lightning critical damage. So lightning only does the most damage if you get that. and you get crit chance, and you scale like attack speed, and you get like resource related mechanics because there's a lot of pressure on resource for casted lightning builds. But if you get all that, there's literally no room on your gear for survivability stats. That's why the lightning build is not tanky. Okay, it's not the mechanics. Some people don't understand that. If you make the lightning build as tanky as a fire build, then your damage is just gonna shit. Like you're playing a build that's designed to be crit, not as crit. So it's, yeah, it's just garbage. So that's not gonna work either in most cases. But yeah, it's like just getting cannot be frozen as a stat, which is what he's suggesting. Those stat values, like I think people haven't really min-maxed gear. But like anything that takes up a stat slot can be really problematic, is what I'm saying.
That you put in your armors and stuff to reduce some of the durations of CC. But yeah, there's just some like really long stuns and really long freeze and really long all this stuff. And of course on the ground with all this, the things that will explode and this will freeze you, this will do that. Yeah, situations are less scary and more just crowd control overload to me. Number 2, going with that, does every monster need to explode 1 to 2 seconds after death or leave a pool on the ground that will poison or do whatever? For a game with already some difficult visibility during fights, having constant ground explosions is not enjoyable to me. I don't mind 1 or 2 monsters. Hey, that doll over there will blow up on death or something, and I know that I gotta watch out for that doll. But having so many monsters explode like that, and then again, 1 or 2...
I want to kind of give a little bit of a take on this one again. He's definitely right that there's too much exploding mechanic garbage. But this game has... Like, if we talk about PoE, which, again, is kind of like still the benchmark in ARPG mechanics, they've had a pretty tough time trying to design a affix system that is fair and simple and clear. It's really hard to do that. And for as undercooked as a lot of endgame mechanics have been in Diablo 4, that's not even top 10 on my list. I actually think, like, it's just a really difficult thing to nail down. Like, because they got the clarity. It's pretty clear what monsters do. Like that little symbol shit. They got the clarity, okay? And they have most of the fairness. Again, yeah, crowd control stuff. And the power level is somewhat in check. So really, I think they actually did a pretty decent job with the mob affixes. But yeah, of course, there's a lot of room for improvement.
2 seconds, so I'm just constantly having to like move, let it explode, go in, now that explodes. It's tiring. It's not fun. It feels overtuned. At the same time, some monsters exploding like 3 times is just, oh my gosh. Having to just sit and wait for it to, and then that explode, you know. It's like, it's not a good feeling. Endgame. Feels alright. I would love it to have a little bit more to work towards. I assume this will be fixed in seasonal content. I'm not going to say much more on it, except I think, you know, having a little bit more to do would be cool. Otherwise, pretty fine. Maybe Helltide's not being like every other hour, every couple hours or something. Having to like, I want to do Helltide, but I have to wait 30 minutes for the Helltide to come up. It's kind of annoying.
Almost like Helltide. I think it just needs a few tweaks.
Bosses. World bosses are just easy and boring right now.
Yeah, they're
plain and simple. I don't even care to go fight them or do them. I don't feel like they're crazy rewarding, and it's not a fun experience. Number 2, most bosses overall do not have very engaging fights. I think taking a look at Path of Exile, taking a look at Lost Ark, there's some great bosses, great examples of how so many fights can be super exciting.
Bro, bosses don't do any fucking damage. Doing bosses in D4 is like watching a YouTube video in like 0.25 speed. it's like, I am going to attack you now. Dude, there's some bosses that don't even attack. The Tomb Lord doesn't attack. He casts like 3 different spells and only one of them does damage. I mean, come on, bro. Yeah, I think the bosses need to be much more challenging relative to the dungeons. Like, they could make bosses 5 times harder and they would still be easier than the rest of the dungeon. Like, I think the gap is large, is what I'm trying to say. It's a large gap.
Lilith in this game is a good fight, but for the most part, the boss fights and boss design, whether it's at the end of a dungeon, whether it's in the quest, whatever, they're just not interesting. They're just like not fun fights. I think a lot of these could be improved. PoE engaging fights. Path of Exile's got your Shaper fight, you've got your Atziri fight, you've got your Elder fight. I mean, there's a lot of great fights in that game. Not every fight is fantastic, but... And even some of the ones in the campaign, like that Tide dude who goes in and out with the water and stuff, there's plenty that, even through the campaign, I don't think are terrible.
Yep.
Guardian raids from Lost Ark would be a huge improvement. Yeah.
I don't know those.
There's a lot they could do. Moving on. Spells. Cooldowns definitely create some limiting factors and also force cooldown reduction as just the most important affix of all time. Changing this is probably a big overhaul again, but I also think this could help improve.
I disagree. They have the Paragon system. The core of the Paragon system is fantastic. They just have some boring nodes on there. They could just remove all cooldown reduction from items and put it on the Paragon tree. Problem solved. Like, they actually have a very... Holy crap. That necklace is ridiculous. Okay. Alright. That happened. Yeah, the Devouring Blaze is the crit multiplier. If you hit something immobilized, each of those points is 30 more damage. So that stat in the right build will almost double your damage. Okay. That's a pretty good find. See, I forgot what I was saying after that, actually. Wait, what was that? Strength and lucky hit. And yeah, attack speed. Let's just watch some more.
Build variety. Because right now, again, it's like, oh, well, I can't, you know, that skill has a 20-second cooldown, so I can't ever make, like, a Frost Nova sorceress. It's just Frost Nova is always a skill that I just go and use, and then it's on its cooldown, and that's what it is, right? But this might be too big of an overhaul because that adjusts a lot of stuff. Again, I don't like cooldowns in PvE really that much, but that is what it is. Number 2, I think this is the more serious issue. The spender generator just isn't feeling good. And it's not just to me. I've actually fixed it for myself because I have so much stuff that generates me mana that now I don't have the issue. But way too many people I've just heard complain about it for way too long in the game. Just sit there out of mana or out of resource and just have to use the basic skill that they don't care about until they can use the spell they want to use again. I don't like mana potions and just chugging that, but I would rather chug mana potions and be able to use the skills I actually want to use than deal with the current system of having to just generate, wait to get the one spell I can use and then wait again. It just isn't feeling good. Lots of barbarians and druids and sorceresses come into my chat and just constantly complain to me about it. They're just like, hey, how do you get your resource up? Because...
Okay, the barbarian class design is that your resource goes down. Alright, like, if you're a barbarian complaining about your resource management, The first mistake is the one you made at the character selection screen. But the other classes, I think they have some tools. I don't know.
It feels horrible to me. I can never use any of the spells I want to use. My core skill I use once every 5 seconds because I just have to wait. Yeah, I think this system needs to be overhauled again.
That's not
moving on,
change.
damage scaling. Adjusting the bucket system, I think, would improve this a lot. It would require some rebalance for sure in the game, but it would also help a lot of affixes and aspects and make them not feel so required. Again, right now with like the different buckets, like vulnerable, and then you get your crit and all of that, and the way that they cross multiply, you feel required to get each one up, and it's just you focus on that damage, you focus on that damage, you focus on that damage, and then they all multiply and your damage goes up bigger. I think this needs to be looked at again.
Make damage go bigger. What's the problem?
Just back to the start. But yeah, vulnerable is its own bucket, and it's a requirement now. Everybody has to run vulnerable. That doesn't feel great. That doesn't seem like a good thing.
No, it doesn't.
Monetization. I think you guys really shot yourself in the foot by making free cosmetics look way too beautiful.
Yep.
This is like an anti-monetization piece. But look how cool I look. And I get to like go in and adjust all this stuff.
Bro, his character is straight from Cirque du Soleil. Hold on, I wanna full screen that. What? I'm glad he's happy with this character. But yep. Mine's better.
And I can make my character look cool a million ways. I'm sorry. There's a lot of monetization, obviously, and stuff in this game that I'm not going to touch on all the pieces. I've already discussed my thoughts on all the monetization of how it's all going. But I think, man, for a game where you're trying to sell cosmetics, you nailed.
Okay, they're not trying to sell cosmetics, bro. I mean, I don't. They're giving people the option for cosmetics. The Diablo 4 launch price tells you what they're trying to sell pretty clearly. Okay, I mean, there's no mystery here. I think you kind of missed the memo on this one a little bit. Yeah, I think it's an event here.
Free cosmetics in this game. Just saying. Anyways, throwing you guys a bone. Moving on, graphics. Having a little more contrast in certain areas I think would go a long way. A lot of the game looks real beautiful. Yep. But there is a few places where there's too much gray, too much brown, too much whatever, and it's really hard to see with that. Additionally, a few skills being adjusted and redone could be a big win. Things like Frozen Orb and Ice Armor could look way better. Stuff like Blighted CE, I can't see anything when there's Blighted Corpse Explosion. It's just a pool of mess, right? And it just kind of like wrecks the environment a little bit. You have these gorgeous environments that you've built, and then some of these skills look cheap on top of them, or just cover it up and ruin it. And they just need to. I just think you could adjust some of those, and that would really like improve the game there. Number 3, cursor visibility options would be nice. I think sometimes it's easy to lose your cursor, and for especially some people who may have harder time seeing, giving them more ease there would be really great. Horse. I gave Horse a 10 out of 10, but I've got some complaints.
No chance.
Number 1, remove the cooldown to remount. Also, adjust the cooldown if you get knocked off. I think it's, what, 30 seconds or something if you get knocked off before you can remount? I killed the monsters that knocked me off, like, in like 2 seconds.
Okay, I don't think they knock you off. I think your horse dies. You don't get, like, knocked off in one hit. You get knocked off in, like, several hits. I think it's like the horse respawning. I don't know, maybe I got it wrong on that one.
And now I have to wait 28 seconds or 20, whatever it is, before I can get on my horse again? Come on. You know, I'd say do no cooldown to remount, and then like if you get knocked off, maybe like 5 to 10 second cooldown or something if you really want.
It's
but
not one
the
hit.
cooldowns right now are just rough. Number 2, the cursor affecting horse speed doesn't feel great because
terrible.
trying to run max speed south is like really hard to do, right? But like on the left to right, you can, and it just, the way it like drops so much. I don't hate the idea of cursor affecting horse speed, but maybe just have it be really closer in. And so it's really just like a small area if you want to do fine movements, and then it gets to full speed right outside of that. Number 3, remove barriers. I don't know. I think the barriers are just really annoying. Or if you're going to put barriers...
What the fuck? This guy plays Sork? Here's what I hate much more than barriers. Using my potion constantly. Barriers are great. It's another like skill element, timing element. And if I do it properly, they're super strong. And if I do it badly, they're not that strong. I think it's like an active defensive mechanism. I'm going to go so far as to say that from the way that I play and what I like, I would say that barriers are the best designed single defensive mechanic I've seen in an RPG. I'm saying it. When it relates to Sork cooldowns, it punishes you for popping too many cooldowns all at once, and you have to plan your next survivability window. It's not like armor or like spell suppression or resists. It's like an active defensive layer, and your ability to manage it makes you tankier. I love it. Barriers are fantastic. 10 out of 10.
Barriers make them like really like dangerous areas. Sometimes there's just barriers with nobody there. Sometimes there's barriers and there's like 2 little mobs at the barrier.
Is he talking about the immunity dome barrier? Is he talking about like the Matrix Neo shield? Oh, it's talking about roadblocks. That's not the right word to use then. Okay, so it has to do with the mounts. The barriers as they relate to mounts. Yeah, they kind of suck.
Yeah, I just don't like the barriers. I'd be fine if you got rid of all of them, honestly. And lastly, crafting. Potentially simply allowing a second type of craft to re-roll the numbers with an affix. You can continue to make it expensive and going up, but allowing us to further improve the GG items we love, I think would be great. This doesn't have to be a thing. If you want us to hunt for items more, that's totally fine. But
in terms of like the time investment to get like good items, I actually think they did a pretty good job. I have pretty good items on my character, but I can still like hope to find some upgrades. And I think that's like a really complicated system. I agree that it could be better and like more crafting options are always cooler. But it's just one of those things where like if you wrote down every single problem Diablo 4 has on a sheet of paper, you'd have like a stack of like 300 sheets of paper. And that would be like in the bottom 10%. That's what I'm saying. In terms of like priority. But yeah, okay.
I think that could be a nice second way to do it. You could also make it cost gem dust, so now there's an actual use for gems. Number 2, ability to see possible reroll affixes could be great. I think that would just be helpful for people. True. This is a comment I got from my chat. Helpful for people to just, you know, have a little bit more visibility around what they can get. And number 3, better scaling on the reroll gold limit I think would be great. I think the first one is pretty cheap and then it like jumps up really high. And maybe just having that be a better scale up on it, I think would be improved. And that's it. Not really that much. So all in all, I mean, I think if you guys made these changes, I mean, I know that this is a list of a lot of constructive feedback and critiques, and it feels like, hey, you know, you're just blasting into the game. Again, I want to say that I think there's a lot of great things about the game as well. Obviously, I've still...
Okay, there you go. I've been at it a while, so you guys can go watch the video if you want. I'll link it in chat.